We've got creative projects for those on the prowl. Here's a design just for you, the bead owl. The bead owl is another classic pattern you may have heard, with its distinct look of an iconic bird. With the perfect blend of colors that make it look just right, one you'll enjoy creating at daytime and at night. Of course, these owls are great, simple design and easy to make. So let's get ready for this tutorial to satisfy your creative needs. Feel free to give this video a like and enjoy this episode of TurboBeads. Here's a list of everything you need to make the bead owl. Before starting this project, I'm just letting you know that I'm using Esketti strings made by Pepperell Braiding Company. It's a round plastic lace that comes in a 50-yard spool, has a bit of flexibility to it, and it works great. With that being said, I'm just keeping you informed and just letting you know this is a personal choice. This is not a sponsored video. Making the bead owl is pretty simple. The first thing you'll need to do is to take 3 feet of string, then we'll add 4 brown beads to that string. Now that we have those 4 brown beads on the string, what we'll do next is take both ends of string, matching them up, pushing those beads toward the center of the string. This will ensure that we have the same length of string to use on both sides. Let me be sure to mention that you'll need to keep these beads in the center of the string to maintain the same length on each side. Now that we have these beads laid out in the center of the string, next we'll need to make the ears. To make the ear, we'll take one end of the string and we're going to add 1 brown bead to that string. Once you have that bead on the string, run that bead toward the top. Using that same end of string, we're going to run that string through the first 4 beads that were added to that string, going in this direction. So just watch close as I guide the string through these beads. Once you get that string through those beads, be sure that the other string stays in place while holding it down, pulling that string all the way through until everything comes together. Once all of those beads come together, this is exactly what it should look like so far. From here, we can create another ear using the same steps. So what we'll do is we'll take the other end of string and we're going to add 1 brown bead to that string. Once you have that bead on the string, go ahead and run it toward the top. Using that same end of string, we're going to run that string through the first 4 beads that were added to the string. It's the same beads that we ran through earlier, but going in this direction. So just watch close as I guide the string through these beads. Let me be sure to mention that getting the string through these beads may be a little bit tough as it's a tight squeeze, as there is much string in between these beads. So once you get that string through those beads, what you'll do is just pull the string all the way through until everything comes together. Be sure to pull the string on both sides to keep those ears in a tight formation. This is exactly how it should look so far. From here, we'll have 2 ends of string to use to create rows for this pattern. To make rows for this pattern, we'll be using the straw technique. So what we'll do is we'll take a straw and split it down the center by cutting it with scissors. So just watch close as I carefully cut the straw down the center. Cutting the straw down the center will make it easier to add beads to it. Basically, what we're doing is using the straw as a stabilizer for the rows of beads to keep them straight, aligned, and in place. Now that we have the straw split down the center, we can now add beads to that straw. So what we'll do is we'll add 5 beads to that straw in this particular order, starting with a brown bead, a black bead, an orange bead, followed by another black bead with another brown bead on the end. As you should notice, since the straw is split down the center, it should be easier to add beads to that straw. Now that we have those beads on the straw looking just like this, we'll carefully cut off the end of the straw, keeping it from showing through the sides. With that straw hidden within those beads, we now have a stabilized row of beads. So what we'll do now is we'll take one end of the string and add those beads to that string. Then we're going to take our other end of string and we're going to run it through those beads as well, going in the opposite direction. So just watch close as I carefully guide the string through these beads. Here's a quick tip if you're having a hard time getting that string through those beads. Since you have one end of the string through those beads, you'll take the other end of string and push it as far as it can go. Then you can pull the other end of string in that same direction and that string should follow through, just like this. Then once you have both ends of string through all of those beads coming out of each side, you can pull both ends of the string evenly until you've reached the top, bringing all of those beads together. As you can see, creating rows for this pattern is pretty simple. We'll continue using the same steps when creating additional rows for this pattern. You'll take that straw that's split down the center and add your beads to that straw. Then once you have those beads on that straw, you'll carefully cut off the end of that straw, keeping it from showing to the sides. This will keep that straw hidden within those beads. So once you have your stabilized row of beads with the straw hidden within, you'll take one end of the string and add your beads to that string. Then you can take your other end of string and run it through all of those beads as well, going in the opposite direction. So just continue watching as I guide the string through these beads. As I've mentioned before, if you're having a hard time getting that string through those beads, remember you'll have one end of string through those beads and you're pushing the other end of string through as far as it can go. You can pull that first string in the same direction just enough to get that other end of string to follow, just like this. Then once you have both ends of string coming out of each side of the beads, you can pull both ends of the string until you've reached the top, bringing all of those beads together. From here, we'll just continue repeating the same steps, creating additional rows for this pattern by taking a stabilized row of beads, taking one end of the string and adding those beads to that string, then taking the other end of string and running it through all of those beads as well, going in the opposite direction. Once you get that string through all of those beads, with both ends of string coming out of each side, remember, all you'll do is just pull both ends of the string until you've reached the top, bringing all of those beads together. So just continue repeating these steps, creating additional rows, following the pattern as seen at the top of the screen. You'll see that creating this design should be pretty simple and straightforward, as it just consists of creating rows of beads and a perfect color scheme placed in the right order to make up the image of an owl. Just be sure to place the beads in the correct order to ensure the image of the owl turns out just right. Let me be sure to mention there's no need in using a straw on the 7th row, as we'll need to run the string through it again for the next steps. So from here, we're ready to create the feet of the owl. To make a foot, the first thing we'll do is we'll take one end of the string and we're going to add one orange bead to that string. Now that we have that bead on the string, we're going to run that string to the first two beads on that 7th row, going in the direction outside the pattern. So just watch close as I carefully guide the string through these beads. With this visual reference, you should be able to see the path I've used to run the string through these beads. You will notice from how it looks, it should be as easy as it seems. Once you get that string through those beads, you'll pull that string all the way through and the beads should come together looking just like this. Now that we've created the first foot, we're ready to create the next using the same steps. We'll take the other end of string and we'll add one orange bead to that string. Then we're going to run that string to the 4th and 5th bead on that 7th row, going in the direction outside the pattern. So just continue watching as I guide the string through these beads. So once you get that string through those beads, you'll pull that string all the way through and all of the beads should come together looking just like this. Both feet of the owl finished looking just like this. We're now ready to tie off each end of string with a knot to lock all of those beads into place. When tying your string together, be sure that your knot is tied nice and secure to ensure that everything stays locked into place and holds together. With this visual reference, you should be able to see that tying the string in the knot is as easy as it seems. Just remember that we're tying off both ends of strings on each side of the pattern with knots that are solid and secure, ensuring that everything stays locked into place and holds together. Once your knots are tied and everything is locked into place, all that is left is to carefully cut off the tied loose ends of string, and your beaded owl is now complete. And there you have it, another fine bead design that was fast, fun, and easy to make. Hopefully this tutorial was helpful and you can create one just as great. If there's anything you would like to add, requests or suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. And if you are new or you just haven't already, don't forget that you can always subscribe if you want to be notified for more bead tutorials just like this one. Hoping you'll tune in for the next one to satisfy your creative needs. Until next time, as always, thanks for watching TurboBeads.